My journey to promote, celebrate, and uplift women started a long time ago. It started through my celebrity TV show, The Basia Show. I quickly realized that my purpose was so much more than simply interviewing celebrities. I've always wanted to build a global network to elevate women, but I was afraid. So one day, I realized that I already had the platform and I just needed to be my authentic, vulnerable self. So I decided to call up some queens from around the world, and they all agreed to pull up. That was the moment we launched the Ask Basia video podcast, and we're just getting started. We're going to change this game. We're going to teach women how to treat each other and how to treat themselves right. You feel me? Hey guys, it's your girl Basia. Welcome to the Ask Basia video podcast. And you know what today is? It's Tuesday, because once you see me pull up with my queens, you know what time it is. And today we're talking about your money language. That's right. We were all brought up different. Much of what we know today about money was handed down to us by our parents and our environment. There are many people who are financially rich today, but still have a poor mindset. They live with the feeling that they can be poor at any time, and therefore they still operate with a feeling of lack. Today, I'm joined by some leading ladies on the Ask Basia video podcast. Yes, and they will share their experiences with money and how their childhood experience with money and finance has shaped their financial perspective. So I would like to welcome back to the Ask Basia podcast my girl, my African sister from Tanzania, Mrs. Moa Alain. Welcome back, Queen. How are you doing?
I'm doing awesome. Thank you.
Nice. Moa is a public health specialist who's currently serving as a senior biostatistician at a pediatric hospital research department. Uh, Sorry, guys. I froze. 6 weeks sabbatical. She's also, I'm so sorry. Oh my God. She's also a Tanzanian African print designer who uses her passion for African print to change the narrative about Africa. Her work is available on YouTube under Ma Afri Styles, and you can keep up with her on Instagram at Ma Afri Styles, Mawa.
Yep, that's right.
Okay, sorry, Queen. What's going on with me? 6 weeks sabbatical. Oh my God. Anyway, I want to say welcome back to my Trinidadian sister coming to us from the Bahamas. Mrs. Paula Hospitalis Boslan is in the building. Welcome, Queen. Paula is the mother of two sons, age 16 and also 13. Her youngest son, Obasi, is on the autism spectrum and is functionally nonverbal. Paula's professional background is in IT and project management. She works at the Colina Insurance Limited as the Life Operations Business Analyst, Manager, and the Reinsurance Administration Manager. She's based in Nassau, Bahamas, and you can keep up with her at hospi_chick. For the first time, representing from one of my favorite Caribbean countries, I tell people the only place I could go and be totally relaxed. And they've been supporting my old show, The Basia Show, from day one. Our Bajan queen, Mrs. Amanda Reefer, is in the building. Amanda, welcome to the Ask Basia video podcast.
It's so wonderful to be here. Thank you, Basia.
Oh my God. Mrs. Amanda Reefer presided as head of the Cave Hill Academy of Sports at the UWI of Sport between 2015 and 2020. She holds a Bachelor of Science in Management and a Master of Science in International Management with distinction from the University of the West Indies, Barbados. She's currently Deputy Dean, International Partnerships and Business Development at UWI, which for those of you around the world, that's the University of the West Indies Faculty of Sport, and is the founder of her own business consultancy, VAR Consulting. Mrs. Reefer was the architect and driving force behind the establishment of the first academic sports program at Cave Hill campus, Certificate in Management and Administration of Sport, BSc Sports Sciences, and MSc Sports Sciences degrees. She successfully negotiated the first double degree with the University of New Brunswick in Canada to deliver the Master of Science in Sports Science degree. Go girl. She was recently selected to the International Cricket Council, otherwise known as ICC, Future Leaders Program, an initiative to address the underrepresentation of women at various levels of cricket administration. You can keep up with her on her Instagram at amanda.reefer. And I am so proud. Y'all, I missed you guys so much. This is the longest sabbatical I have been on. 6 weeks. How you guys feeling?
Good. Refreshed, actually.
I feel refreshed. I was under so much pressure, guys, and I just kept missing and missing. I'm like, oh my God, our followers gonna leave us. How is this gonna happen? Are the women gonna think I turned my back on them? And all of it, the answer is no. I just couldn't help it. 6 weeks. Wow. Wow. Y'all miss me?
Yes.
Oh, yes.
The lies you tell, the lies you tell. Anyways, after a long hiatus, I miss you all like crazy. And I'm speaking to our followers now because these queens never miss me. We are together again and it's all good. Today we're discussing money language. And you know how I feel about my money, honey. You understand? You know, we all have a body language. But do you believe that we have a money language? This question, I'm starting with you, Paula Hospitalis Bosler, the queen from Bahamas. Do we have a money language? Because my answer is yes. That's why we're having the show. Do you believe that you have a money language?
I think I do have a money language. No, I don't know. Like, I know what the love languages are, but the money languages, I'm not as sure. But I think I have kind of like a save mentality, save for a rainy day kind of situation. Not necessarily a scarcity thing, but I just need to know that I have this amount at all times.
Well, you will break that down for us more later, and we will then determine if it's based on a scarcity mentality. How about our queen from Barbados, Amanda Reefer? Tell me, do you have a money language? Do you believe that a money language exists? Like, what is your money language kind of thing? Do you believe in a money language? And then we break it down later on.
Oh, absolutely. It is important to have a money language. When we get further into the conversation, I'll share my journey with this money language, but it's absolutely necessary for us women to have a language and to understand what our language is, how we can, attract what we want to attract. So I'm excited about this conversation today.
Oh, listen, I'm so excited because I'm all about my money and I have a money language, Where it comes from is a different story. So, Mawalene, my Tanzanian queen, do you have a money language?
Oh, yes. I think I think I had it. I just didn't know that there was a language for it.
Correct. A lot of people don't know that we have a money language.
Right. So I hope we'll talk a little bit about that too. How to know that you actually have a language. But I think we all do.
Well, let's start from where it first started. I'm going to ask our newbie, Amanda Reefer, lady from Cave Hill campus, Barbados.
Where it all started.
Where it all started. Did anyone talk to you about money growing up?
I gotta go a little bit back to go a little bit forward to explain my situation because money wasn't discussed in the house like that. I think many of us in the Caribbean, particularly Barbados, money is a means to an end. So I grew up seeing my parents. My mom was a teacher. My dad was a jack of all trades, an entrepreneur in his own right. And I just saw bills be paid, that, you provide for the family. And that was the extent of it. No real conversation about what it means or anything like that. And I think that comes from, how, generationally, how we came through life. We were taught, get an education, get a job, pay the bills, save for a rainy day, get a mortgage, and life is good. So that's really how I was conditioned, really, in the early.
Okay, fair enough. And what about you? Because I don't want to go to another Caribbean sister because, even though we're from different islands, our upbringing was kind of parallel, especially as it relates to money and sexuality and the things that were just not discussed, the things our parents left for the streets to teach us. You know what I mean? How about you, Mawa? You grew up in Tanzania. You're real real Africa. How was that handled? How was the what was the did anyone talk to you about money growing up?
So I think the conversation of money came to me when I went to boarding school. And the reason being is you had to have some money and learn to manage it. But to be honest, like a lot of the discussion was how to manage it rather than how to make it. So that was I when I was reflecting, that is really how the conversation started. And I
Yeah.
think for a lot of girls, especially because we do go to boarding school a lot, that's
Hold
how
on, in Tanzania
in
or in
Tanzania,
Africa?
yes.
Okay. Yeah.
Yes. A lot of young girls go to boarding school, I would say about the age of 13,
Wow.
13,
No, that is
14.
not the norm for us in the
Right,
Caribbean. Yeah.
right. So I would say that's where it started for me. But if then, and you have to keep in mind also, at least from what I've seen, a lot of other people learn through their parents working, right? A lot of entrepreneurship because the biggest employer is the government. Outside of the government, you have to kind of work to get your money. So you see your parents selling, you know, doing this or farming and selling. So you start to see how money is made.
But
And
did they talk to you about it?
not in how to make it, but knowing where it's coming from and how to manage it. That's the conversation.
So
I,
I just want to go back to both
mhm.
Paula Hospitalis Boslan and Amanda Reefer. Um, did any one of your parents tell you yes or no how where it's coming from? Was that a discussion?
I guess for me, it was always, and similar to what Amanda said, it was about making sure that you study hard to get a good job, to make enough money to live. So it wasn't a situation where there was entrepreneurship, wasn't really something that was discussed in my family. You worked for someone and you made an income,
And that's
and
how you will
depending
make
on
your
what you
money.
studied and how much and how well,
Yeah, you can live better.
you can live better. So that was the story for me.
Was that the same for you, Amanda Reefer?
Yeah, it wasn't talked about. You just saw it. You didn't have a conversation.
You just saw it or you didn't see it.
Yeah, you just saw it, you know.
Yeah.
I think even in terms of financial difficulties, like my parents did a really good job, if I could say that, of if there were difficulties, I'm sure there were, sheltering me from it. It was a very, I would say, simple time, children shouldn't have to worry about money or anything like that. But I think it was important to have a conversation though, because it could prepare you for other things that comes your way. So
Precisely.
we never really talked about money.
But while we're on the topic of parents and talking about it and not talking about it, my next question to you guys would be, what was your family's attitude towards money while you were growing up? Because that attitude is what determines your your actual mindset now. We've prior to the show, Paula Hospitalis Bosan spoke about that attitude of like, I don't have a scarcity attitude, but I always have to save for the rainy day. That's a scarcity attitude because
It
you are projecting the rainy day.
yes. I think it too. There weren't any discussions about investment instruments. There weren't any discussions about various places to park your money, or long term and short term and medium term goals.
Yeah,
That was things I learned through life,
correct. After you
and
got
I
married.
feel like I would have been probably better served
Uh huh.
had I had some different options. I
Yeah,
mean, Abasha, my mom died very
very
early-ish
early.
in my life, and we were
That
single
I
parented.
consider that to be very early. Yeah.
Yes, and we were single parented. My dad spent. It
Mhm.
was just like, he
Mhm.
spent, and my mother saved. And
Mhm.
so I had to put myself through university. So I had to
Mhm.
figure it out pretty early. Okay, how much is UE fees? How
Mhm.
much do I need to make? When can I work? When can I go to school? That kind of stuff. And so,
And many of us in the Caribbean, I think Amanda Rifa would agree to that. We had to do that. Many of us.
yeah,
Yeah. Not
yeah.
all, but many of us in the Caribbean.
And there wasn't a thought that if you didn't do well in school, that you might be scrunted.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But I
Okay,
mean,
please translate scrunting for global viewers.
scrunted means harder for cash, going dollar to dollar.
Yeah, Americans say living paycheck to paycheck. Hello.
For real. So,
Yeah.
for me, yes, I may have, and I hadn't thought about it like that, Basha. That
I know.
my trying to always have a certain amount of saving is
Yeah.
kind of
Because we call it a rainy day fun, and
the
I am
rainy day
not inviting a
fun.
rainy day in my house. Like sun's
It's
always
kind of,
shining.
yeah, right. And I think so. I think it was layers, right? So my parents broke up. I saw my mother saving,
Yeah.
and then she passed, and then I had to make sure.
That's
And
right.
then you get married, and it's fun times, and then you have a special needs kid, and you go,
Yes.
okay,
Okay.
hello.
Mm-hmm.
Do
Yeah.
I live forever? No. So I
No.
need to have a plan.
Right. So
So it's
we're gonna by the
right.
end of this broadcast, I'm hoping we would try and do away with this scarcity mindset for
Yes.
saving, and saving would be fun, would be to give us numerous options, you
Yes.
know, that sort of thinking. Yeah, because I am from the entrepreneurial mindset. So even though I too was raised by a single mom, I wasn't raised by a single mother alone. Later on, I would reunite with my dad, and my aunts and my uncles also raised me, and they all had different perspectives. But I also had a strong entrepreneurial spirit in me. Like I couldn't help it. I didn't know what it was so many years, and I would ask all the right rich people questions. That was just in me, and we talk some more about that with some of the other topics to come. But I want to ask Maura, Elaine, did your family, what was the attitude towards money specifically growing up?
Wow. So growing up,
Hmm.
so my family, I'll give a little background to give you some perspective. So
Yeah.
both my parents were working full time. My father's a teacher, my mother's a teacher. My father works in the university, so they're good jobs.
Hmm.
However, we've always had, look, my mother is this kind of person who will always start a business anyhow, and just work on something, because her attitude is always, yes, you have this job,
Hmm.
but you always could do something else, and you
Multiple
can
income
always,
streams.
right. So she had the whole, I didn't know it was that, but it was really
Absolutely.
multiple streams of income.
Hmm.
So I've always seen her do that. And
Hmm.
then my father would do the same, because even though the government is employing you, it's not
Hmm.
enough really to cover whatever it is that you want. And he had the mindset of a progressive mindset. So
Hmm.
if he wanted to move forward, you had to do more. So he will be
Hmm.
doing different gigs. He will start a business there and here
Hmm.
and there. So we didn't have, on the table sitting down and talking about it, but we
Hmm.
saw it happening. And the
Hmm.
result of it is almost everybody in my family is doing multiple stuff, because
Because you
it's
you you do multiple stuff as well, like with
right,
your Ma Afri Style Designs. I mean, she's an amazing African print designer
right.
and
So
other things. Yeah.
so that so there wasn't that conversation. And again, not to say that that conversation is not important. I think it's crucial. We really need, if we had added that, I mean, it
It-
would have been revolutionary, right?
correct.
But
Correct.
we, as you say, children learn from seeing what the
Hmm.
parents are doing. So we
Hmm.
learn from what we saw, and
Yeah.
that was also important.
Yeah. I just want to make this point before I go to Amanda Rifa. You would notice that you all form that opinion about either multiple streams of income or saving from your mothers.
Mhm.
Isn't that weird? How about you, Amanda Rifa?
I agree more, because it is not that you didn't talk about it, but you saw what they did. So my mother also had secondary stream of income. My father, as I said, was into all types of different things. So I saw him delve into farming and mechanics and art and music. So it's what you see. You know, you learn from different ways. You learn from behavior. You learn from words. There are many different type of learning mechanisms. So for me, growing up, I saw their actions more so than a conversation. And again, that's how they were brought up.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's just, I wouldn't say unfortunate. It just was their reality at that time. Is what you know.
That's right.
I think that's really, you
As my
can't.
Belgian friends would say, 100%.
Thing is just but you saw them in their own actions and how they approach life as it relates
Yeah.
to finding multiple sources of income and supporting your family.
Yeah. So now, having discussed some of those issues, would you guys say that in your home, and especially Paula Hospitalis Woodland, was there an undercurrent scarcity mindset, would you say?
I definitely think so with my mom. No, my mother was the last of 11 children
Yeah.
of Grenadian immigrants
Same here,
living
me
in
too.
Trinidad.
Yeah.
So, she never had enough. And of course, she used to tell stories about getting the last plate of food. And sometimes an older sister might save something for her, but it was never enough. When you're 11th
And you
and a
learn to
girl,
eat your meat first.
if you get meat, you eat that
If
first.
you better eat that first.
Right. So I think her story comes from that, to just from not having and having to pull herself up, and she pulled herself up through education, which is why I
Correct.
think she kind of passed that down to us.
Yeah.
But certainly I just don't know if my dad was trying to teach me anything, but he lived and he was happy. He never needed, but just seemed not to be as concerned about where it was coming from. It'll come.
Yeah.
And it
So
did. Right?
so let me just also add this, because I know a little bit about your background. And one of the things that I learned much later in life,
Yeah.
I think we've talked about this a bit in our broadcast, that most of us grew up religious, and for me, I became more spiritual. And when I became more spiritual, I my faith grew, and with that faith, I recognized that, hey, I can't pray, make the sign of the cross, say my rosary, and worry about money.
Facts.
100%.
100%. And also, you can't pray and expect it to be there without doing something. Right? So prayer without action
Prayer without
doesn't make
action.
sense.
But prayer without faith is even more powerful, because there are some
Yes.
people who pray. I have known situations with families deprived of something. The pandemic has had a major impact, and some people just can't do anything. They've tried, but all they could do is sit and pray, and a phone call comes. Hey, I'm transferring this for you. Hey, I have this for you, right? And I know many people would not think today that our angle in terms of retraining a lot of our queens to think about money is coming from a spiritual mindset, but it is indeed. Because if you can say that you believe in a higher power, whether you choose to call that power God, the universe, or whatever your spiritual center is, then you can't say that you worry about your provisions.
Yes.
Then you don't believe.
It's a contradiction.
It's a
It
contradiction.
is. It is.
It's a contradiction. You feel me? So for me, when I reflect on my childhood, money was always spoken about around me in a scarcity mindset. The issue with me is that I didn't conform. I wasn't really someone to conform. I'm still not somebody that conforms, right? I was guided by a higher spirit and a higher power. I remember saying to my cousins that I didn't even, when I think about it, whilst we weren't poor, we definitely were not well off in our earlier years. But we weren't poor. I mean, I was the only child. I got what I needed, but when I look back now, then I'm thinking, but maybe we were poor. I don't know. Like, I never saw poor, rich. I don't know what was wrong with me at the time. I always knew that I would have. It's a spirit that was in me that I cannot
Mhm.
explain to you all. I just
No, I
had,
had a similar experience very well.
I'm glad somebody feels me.
Mm.
You there, Basia.
I'm glad somebody feels me
When I
because
was 13, I knew that I would be destined for something great.
me too.
And so, but it didn't correlate with money, but
If
it
but
was
at the end of
another
the day,
Right.
it's not money because at the end of the day, it's not money. It's provisions.
Right.
yes,
You feel me, my.
Absolutely.
Money is just
Absolutely.
some paper, that you could hoard or you do and use charity. But
Yeah.
when you lock into the idea of your provisions and the fact that you'll always be okay, like Paula's dad, because he didn't communicate it, he just lived it.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of us, when we think about it, we know people like that. They're like, I'll survive. It's gonna be and they do. Like, it's
Yeah.
magical.
Hey, listen.
Mhm.
It's like things open up and
Because you're drawing it to you. It's a
yeah.
law of attraction.
yeah.
So
You're
if you're
Mm-hmm.
going to be scared about it and hoard it,
looking
it's
at
going to
my,
go away. I'm sorry, Amanda. I'm sorry.
I'm
You
saying
did wait.
I'm looking at my notes because I wanted to talk. That's part of my journey.
Yeah.
So,
Well, shoot. You go
Mm.
ahead, Queen. Hmm.
well, I just wanted to say that when you're talking about your journey in terms of money language, a
Hmm.
moment of impact, I call it a moment of impact in my life was when it was introduced 14 years ago to The Secret, the DVD.
Ah, my. Oh,
Wow.
that's my book. That's my jam.
I can tell
Listen.
the
Uh-huh.
lesson that completely transformed my life.
That's
So
right.
Mm.
it was like, you remember I told you about the feeling as a child that I was destined. So when
Hmm.
that feeling connected with the law of attraction, game over.
Game
And
over.
Mm.
but
Game
everything
over.
after that
Game
was
over.
transformational.
Listen, by the time I got to 18, I was moving through life like a tornado because I knew what I wanted and I had to get it. I wasn't thinking about lack, not gonna have. I'm like, I'm gonna get it. I'm gonna get it. Now, the difference is I wasn't always successful with that attitude because um, at a certain point, I wanted to do God's work for Him. So I had to be very careful and make sure I had a delicate balance with that, having faith in God. But there's a time to pull back and wait on God after you have done enough. And because sometimes God is saying no because it's not good enough.
Mm.
Ooh, I like that.
Yeah. He will never take anything from you without giving you better. Believe
I
that.
like that.
I
And
believe that.
so that was my difficulty, somewhere between my early 20s to my mid 30s. Yes, it took me a long time. Yeah, you know. And once I cracked that secret, as Amanda was saying, and I started increasing my faith and understanding that I had it. And there's another follow up to the secret, the magic. One of
Magic.
my girlfriend from Jamaica introduced me to that, the magic, and that's another code. And there's so much that we could go on and on and talk about. But Amanda, I'm handing back over to you.
So the idea of how my perspective changed.
Hmm.
Um, so in my journey, I turned 40 this year, by the way. So
Hey,
Congratulations.
congratulations, Amanda. You don't look a day over 25.
thank you, thank you. But I have seen how important money language is and how you view money. So I've shifted from seeing money as a means to
Hmm.
concept of wealth creation. That was
Correct.
that was
Mm.
a transition.
Yeah.
So it's really all about perspective. So if I were to
Hmm.
think about how my opinion has changed, is that I am now focused on wealth creation and things like generational wealth.
Correct.
And
Yep.
I have two children. I have a
Hmm.
21-year-old boy and I have a 7-year-old girl. And how do I impact them and train them and teach them and those principles? So that's really how my thinking about money has shifted. I don't know if anybody else has anything to say about that.
Yeah. What
Mm-hmm.
about you, Mawa?
Oh, I'm so glad you brought that up because there is this shift that happens truly, and I'm in total agreement with that. I'm really blessed to be a part of this group of like-minded people where we're talking about sovereignty, right?
Mm-hmm.
Big, we have this bigger vision, but part of that discussion is about financial sovereignty, generational wealth,
Mm-hmm.
and that idea that um, there has you want to be in control of your time, right? And I know,
Mm-hmm.
Baja, we've spoken about this already. Having the control of your time also requires certain things like financial wealth to be
Mm-hmm.
able to say, I need to do this, and this is
Or
how I'm going to
financial
accomplish.
security. It may not be
Yeah,
wealth just yet, but security.
financial
Mm-hmm.
security, right? So, like to be able to do one thing at your own time, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I know a lot of for myself, a
Mm-hmm.
lot of things that I've wanted to do,
Mm-hmm.
um, I've always been held back because I did not have that financial support. And so now being able to switch my mindset to say, no, this is what I want to do, the money will come. You know, when,
100%.
right. So it's like when you make up your mind about something, I, for some reason, it's like the universe opens up,
It
right?
draws it
And
to you.
it draws it to you. So
Mm-hmm.
that change was so important. And with that change, you start to remember, oh, this is why, my dad told me this. This is why my mom told, this is why so and so mentioned this. And all this knowledge that you are knowing, to I didn't even know I'm accumulating. Now it's like coming together and say, this is why we need to talk about what money is. And I know I come from a Christian background. A lot of times we don't talk about money. You
Yeah.
know, it's
Yeah.
like, oh, if you
Because it's the
talk
root
about
of all
money,
evil.
it's yes, but it's the
That
love
is
of
a,
money.
and I really just want to dispel that notion on this.
It's a terrible notion, but it's been
On this,
repeated so
I
often.
know, on this prosperous platform called the Ask Passion platform,
Yes.
that no, it's the love or the greed, and I don't even agree. I
Right.
don't even agree with the love. It's the greed. The
It's the
greed is
Yes.
greed.
evil. Yeah,
Right.
I love
I
Because
money.
agree. I
I
agree.
love money, but the greed, I am not greedy.
exactly. And you know how I don't know if you've heard of this other proverb where say, a closed fist never receives, right? You always have to have an open hand. So even if you have your money and you're holding on to this,
And
we
God
know,
bless you to bless others.
right? You
Amen.
you keep that hand open and money just flows. Flows, you get what you want, and it flows to someone else. They get what
Mhm.
they need. So I mean that switch, that mental shift, it was
That's
just
it.
so important.
And that's the core of this discussion, because when I decided that, I don't even remember the right age, and I was like, money will always know my address, my bank account, my everything. I'm going to be provided for. God is my provider. Everything is going to be coming my way that I need. And I switched to that and I stayed there. And somebody would be
Mm,
like, oh, you must have a doubt. And I ain't got no doubts about that, friend.
mm,
Mm-hmm.
mm.
You feel
Can
me?
Can I add one thing? Again, I know
Yes,
we
you
talked
can.
about mothers. I still remember when my mother told me about money. And we were having some kind of conversation, and she said, "Maua, make sure you use money. Don't let
Don't let
money
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 use
use
you.
you."
use you.
I'm
Ah,
telling you, I
yeah,
still remember that. It was powerful, and now I
yeah,
understand why.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And I think too that if you want to be an entrepreneur, because I know a lot of my friends who are my very qualified and certified friends, who are now embarking on a, a journey of entrepreneurship. And I can tell you, having been on that journey for 21 years, with hills and valleys, and not having the mindset that I have today, um, if you want to really be an entrepreneur, you have to now shift from thinking about saving to investing. You have to start thinking about am I going to earn this amount, to how can I stretch this amount? You know, um, it's something I had to, the day I decided to leave my job, my last full-time job at IBM Jamaica, I said bye-bye to a month-end income.
Mm,
And for the first month, it was terrifying. And now you know what's terrifying for me? What's terrifying for me is being stuck and getting a fixed salary. I wouldn't know what to do with myself. Sounds very weird, okay? To a lot of people, they're like, oh, I can't do it with my salary. Is she crazy? Let me tell you, your boss is not providing for you. Your creator is providing for you. He create opportunities that you cannot imagine once you believe in the secret. The universe comes full circle. What you do, what you put out is what you get back. You put out this amount, you get back tenfold. And that's been my experience. I'm not making this up. I'm not making this up. And, I think it's key too. Like, I know that one of the things I wanted to ask you guys is like, who handles the money in your home? Like, who handles rather the money in your home growing up? Like, in my case, well, I handle the money in my home. Not because I said to my husband, I have to handle the money in this home. No, no, no. He's like, you are better at this. You handle the money in this home. His mother handled the money in their home.
Mm-hmm.
His father brought the money home and he told the mother, you handle the money. And she stretched that dollar. In my case, I stretch and multiply. So that also matters. The person with the multiplication mindset should be the person to handle the money in your
Money.
home.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't have to have a gender. Nothing is wrong if your husband handles the money in your home. If he is a multiplier, let the man do his thing.
Right.
Because I've always said before, if you're married more than 10 years, it's one money. It don't matter who earned it. Because
Listen to me.
when you go in that divorce court, it's one
That's
money.
we money. I think certainly in my household, I manage the money.
Mm-hmm.
My husband has more of an investor mindset.
Mm-hmm.
He's an actuary.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of what he does.
Oh, yeah, and he will never be without money. Okay, let's go.
Never. So whereas, and in addition to that, I tend to be risk averse.
Mm-mm.
So I need a little push.
No,
I go and put how much where.
Let's talk about this after P. Let's talk about no risk, no reward.
Right? And so I think that's where our balance is.
Yeah.
In terms of the day-to-day and the running of things and ensuring that everything is met, that's kind of my portfolio. As far as the thinking for a longer term goal, investing towards something in a medium to long term, that's sort of his thing. And so we kind of have a partnership in that regard.
A good balance, yeah.
Because if it were left to me, I am going to the safest instrument. Because it's just, and maybe you're right. I'm coming, talking with you ladies. It's kind of giving me some introspection. I'm like, okay, maybe I do have a bit of a scarcity situation going on. And I don't believe myself to have one, but you never see yourself clearly.
Because yours is more modernized than your mother's.
Good point.
You feel me?
I feel you, no, for real. It's a whole mood, and I think that's kind of
that electricity has to be reprogrammed because that holds you may have this false sense of security that I am saving. Let's remember we have no control over what financial institutions do with our money, so there's so many other ways.
There are and as you know, Basia, I mean, I'm a daughter of 3. My mother and father had 3 girls, and my younger sister is such an entrepreneur. We don't know where she get from. When she came to me as her older sister with her business
there's
plans,
always one in the
there's
the
always
bunch.
one. She's the it, and Basia, she's doing fantastically well. But when she came to this sister, I was like, you want to do a good paying job. You can't do both of them same time. And eventually she had to say, Paula, I'm doing this.
Yeah, that's faith.
And I actually, in a very public forum at her wedding, I had to say, and I apologize if I ever held you back. I said, I thought I was doing best for you.
No, you were operating from a place that you knew.
But you have taught me, because, I mean, that girl does not appreciate any holes or any risk. She's like, but yeah, I'm doing this though. And,
and that's faith, and God rewards you for your
That's
faith.
so true. That's so true. Yeah. So none of us have lack. All of us are doing well differently.
But some can do better if they let go of
facts.
Facts.
But like I always tell people, like, when people go, well, you're too old. I ain't dead yet.
Mm.
And life is a journey of learning and changing and
We don't put
evolving.
limitations. We don't put limitations on women on this
I certainly
platform.
don't. There are people who love to limit you. I mean,
Mm,
Amanda she hit the 40, and I'm so proud of you and
mm-mm,
doing what you want to do. And I'm saying
mm-mm.
nobody's timetable is the same.
Yeah,
Mm.
yeah. So,
So I'm appreciating this talk. I have to think about my scarcity. Thank
so,
you.
but listen. I mean, that covers the next topic and the next one, because I was about to ask you that, has your personal opinion about money changed over the years? And of course, it just changed in the past 45 minutes. So you can answer that question. Mine has changed, obviously, as I said, from my 20s to my mid 30s. You know, got a lot of knocks and so on, and it just helped me develop.
But can I give some advice to those that are in a full-time job and want to be entrepreneurial, or at least to ignite that entrepreneurial spirit? Because that's what I have a full-time job,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm an entrepreneur. I
Mm-hmm.
have my consultancy. I think it depends on what type of area you want to go into. But I think that it's a really good segue, because the reality is you really have to scan your environment and see your situation before you do it. You
Yeah.
see,
Right.
never make a rash decision. So if
Uh-uh.
that's what you
Mhm.
want to do, you can get your feet wet. And if your job allows, and let me just put that caveat there, but I've been able to successfully navigate
And I
having
was going to say that some
a
people are able to do both.
yeah.
Able. Mhm.
No, but
Um,
let me just say that
mhm.
don't tell Yubi, but I'm looking at
Yui watches this broadcast.
I
This is the Basha platform,
maybe
okay?
I'll give it like 2 more, 3 more years, but you never know. But no, but I understand too how difficult it is, but it can be done. Where there's a will, there's a way.
Well, I don't think
Mhm.
it's always difficult. I think you have to be strategic. I think anybody,
Mhm.
and this advice is not for Amanda, Reefa, Yui. This is for my followers.
Yeah.
Um, you have to be strategic. Never. I mean, of course, some people have no choice because something might happen with their job and they're just thrown into entrepreneurship. But if you're planning around exiting and going into entrepreneurship, one of the first things I will tell anybody is make sure you're debt free. Go into it
Mhm.
debt free. And if you have two partners in a home, it's always advisable for one to be the salary earner and the other one to be the entrepreneur.
That's
It's the
right.
most
Mhm.
beautiful balance.
Yeah.
Having a guaranteed source of income, or even if that other partner has a business that is definitely a stable, guaranteed
Mhm. Mhm.
business.
Yeah.
So your home is covered, while it allows you the flexibility to um start your business. And a lot of people say, the first year of the business is the hardest. No, 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 no. Ask Mark Zuckerberg. It depends on the type of business. Sometimes you have a winner and you have to
Mhm.
run with that, and that
Mhm.
winning from month one. My
Mhm.
personal experience is, if my business is not going to turn over for me in 6 months, I go on.
Mhm.
Wow.
There's not a stuck up and down. No, it's a business. And if you're onto a good business and it's going to bear fruit for you, you'll know in the first 6 months. That's my experience. And nobody can take that away from me, because my bio is entrepreneurship.
Mhm.
You feel me? So no, security has to be present when entrepreneurship needs to blossom. Don't get me wrong. I'm not, but a part of that security is making sure you have a decent fund set aside. Long ago, when I used to follow the financial guru Susie Oman, and prior to the pandemic, she said 6 months. Well, come on now.
Hmm.
I will tell you 2 years of expenses after this
Mhm.
pandemic. My model
Absolutely.
was always one. I will tell you 2 years. If you track the cycle after the 2008 2009 crash of the real estate market in America, it took people 2 years to get back on their feet properly, even the economy. So I'm
Mhm.
like, if you could put aside a good 2 years and you have a guaranteed pension, you could work.
Mhm.
You know,
Oh, can I ask something though? Like, what happens to those people who can't do that? Should they be held back? You know?
that is a personal decision, because
Yeah.
sometimes somebody's exits or their desire to become an entrepreneur is so strong that they
Mm.
can't help themselves.
Mm.
They can't help themselves. I was one of them. I mean, like, if you're born to do something, you're just born to do it. It's like if you're born to play cricket or you're born to play football,
It'll
no
always come
matter
back.
what, you could,
It'll always come back. Yeah.
it doesn't leave you. That is a matter of the soul, not a matter of somebody's opinion. It's a matter of the soul, and the soul has to be fulfilled.
I hear that.
You know?
Yeah.
Would you say you have a high level of financial literacy? I mean, like, if you were to rate your financial literacy before this program ends, which is soon, how would you rate it?
What kind of scale we use it?
1 to 10.
So, are we starting? Are you starting with me?
Let Paula start, because she looked like she
I
was
tried
ready
to
to give us
figure
a
it
rate.
out. I don't want to say.
Anybody have their rate? On a 1 to 10? Amanda?
6.
Oh, we got to work on Amanda now. Okay.
No, we got to work because I want to explain that 6. So
No, you might have to explain it after. And our post discussion, and then you'll come back to it. Come on, my because Amanda have to give us some hot topics before we leave. Come on, we almost finished.
So I would rate. So okay, here's the statistician in me that's gonna ask a question, of course. So are we rating based on the doing or the knowledge? Right, because those are two different things.
It's pure action. That's
okay.
Action. You can't. A lot of people are very correct in their mind. Yes. You know how to bat in your mind, Amanda. You know how to bowl in your mind, and you can't execute it. Come on now. No.
So I would say at the doing right now, I would say I'm about 7.5. Because it has progressed over time, and having been in a different culture, it's almost like, you're starting over. So
I'll give you the 7 because you already have Ma Afri going online, and you're doing it. You're showing that you're wetting your feet and so on and so forth. B.
Okay, so my doing and my knowledge is 2 different scores, and I feel I should just get the average.
Okay.
No, but
that's the actuary in you. That's the actuary in you.
The actuary also. I feel like my knowledge is probably a high 8.
Okay.
But the doing, because I'm risk averse by personality. So the doing is more of a 6-ish.
Okay, we're gonna work on that. Okay, I see Mrs. Reefer giving me a hard eye. Mrs. Reefer, give us a quick explanation about the 6, because time is upon us, and go into the hot topic one time.
Okay, no problem. So the 6, because the financial literacy is so fluid. So like, you get to a point where you think you understand the system, and then there's something called cryptocurrency, and then there's something called digital currency, and then it's a continue to evolve.
Then you shouldn't give yourself a 6 for that, because not every financial instrument or opportunity is for you. That doesn't make you a novice. It doesn't make you lacking in financial savvy. So we're not talking about your knowledge.
Can I give myself an 8 then?
Yes, I thought you were an 8. I didn't know why you give yourself a 6, girl.
But you see where there's discussion. See the sisterhood here. Now you educate me as to the definition. So
you take an 8. All right, you take an 8. And with that 8, give me a quick hot topic. Tell me what's going on in Barbados. I can wrap up the show and go and cook my husband dinner.
Good for you. No, hot topic in Barbados: impact of COVID on mental health of children. Big issues. Suicides.
I think that's global.
Things like when you interview them, surveys, like they're thinking about suicide. So it's a real serious issue that we gotta address, and quickly.
I know 2 families, and that really disturbs me because it's teenage boys who committed suicide for the past year.
And they'll be all boys.
All
so
boys.
I'm like, something is happening here with our boy.
Yeah, all boys. Some ideas as a mother of teenage sons. I mean, outside of spending a lot of time with them, there are other options. Get life coaching, therapy for them. It helps, because outside of parents, they need other people they look up to talk them through this process as they navigate life, and make sure that they have the idea and the understanding that there is a silver lining beyond this. Because I think it's the hardest time to be a teenager. I mean, we were all teenagers. I can't imagine. The hardest thing that happened to us in our teenage years was when Trinidad had a coup, and I thought I was going to die. Okay.
Not die, man.
Oh, I was so scared. I thought they were going to
Yeah,
shoot
yeah,
everybody,
it was a
So I'm
troubling
saying
time,
that
but
it was
Amanda,
a troubling time.
that is a huge topic, I think, and as
But it
Basha
is.
said, worldwide. We've here
Right
Mhm.
in
here in the
the
US too.
Bahamas,
Yeah.
suicide is a new. I have to
Yeah.
say, I can't even. It's just it wasn't something that happened regularly,
Yeah.
but over this pandemic, we've had
Same.
quite a few suicide
Same.
attempts and one success, and the success was 13.
Yeah. So we got to hold on to our children, pray for them.
Mhm.
We
Yeah.
have to pray for them, but we have to create more resources, even if it's online, to give them life coaching, therapy in some cases, because we have to make that distinction. Because sometimes you ask your kids, you want therapy, and they'll be like, no, something's wrong with me. No, therapy is not because something's wrong with you, but you have life coaching, which is not therapy, but it gives them that motivation
Yeah.
and this in the
Mhm.
skill set to handle these things that parents don't necessarily have the time or the skill to do. So I'll leave you with that. I hope that helps someone who feel that might be needed in their home. Guys, I wish I could go on and on, but I just want to tell all our followers, go follow these queens on Instagram. Their Instagram handles are on the screen and in the body of the article associated with this podcast on bashapowell.com. I wish I could go on, but all good things must come to an end. And this is the reason we created this podcast, to bring outstanding women from all around the world together. I want you to tell the people where you're at. Amanda Rifa, where you're coming to us from?
From Barbados.
Paula Marie Bosland, where are you coming to us from?
Nassau, Bahamas.
And Maua Alain, Maua Moshe Alain, I haven't called you Moshe for the day. Where are you coming to us from?
From Tampa, Florida.
And it's your girl Basia. I'm coming to you from the A, otherwise known as Atlanta, Georgia. And I want to leave you with this today. If the women in your circle are doing well, no need to get mad. You should be happy. You're a sum total of the people you surround yourself with. Birds of a feather fly together. Ladies, to quote my son Russ, you did a great job. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. It's your girl Basha. Remember to live the life you love and love the life you live. I love you all. I miss you all. See you next week. I have some amazing queens coming through. Ciao. Bye.